A lot of people ask, what is the filibuster? It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but it really is not very well understood. It's kind of obscure in many ways because it deals with the Senate rules. What people need to understand, though, is the filibuster is actually directly relevant to so many things that they care about and has everything to do with whether the Senate actually can get things done or not. The filibuster is a term for a senator taking the floor and not giving it up, basically talking a bill to death. Well, the kind of romantic mythology of the filibuster is the Mr. Smith goes to Washington view, where some idealistic senator is trying to do something important for the nation and holds the floor for hours and talks and talks and talks to achieve a goal. Well, look, that not only does that never happen anymore, but it actually wasn't the reason that the filibuster was most used. In the 20th century, it was a tool to block civil rights laws more than anything else. In recent years, nobody actually needs to take the floor anymore because of procedural changes that were made in the Senate that allow senators to filibuster without even showing up. So in 1917, they actually adopted the cloture rule that allowed to bring to an end a filibuster. At that time, it was 67 votes, or 2/3 of the Senate. And that pertained until 1975, when they lowered it to 60 votes. But it has become now something that is just a routine. Because it's so easy to object to anything that's going on in the Senate, getting leverage for other things, for making deals or whatever. Senators object all the time. That means that functionally, every single piece of legislation now that goes through the Senate requires 60 votes. People might have heard of something called the nuclear option. Well, the nuclear option is a way to blow up the cloture rule, Rule 22 of the Senate rules. It's been done already. It was actually implemented the first time in 2013 by leader Harry Reid, and then by McConnell in 2017. So now the courts and nominees generally are not subject to that filibuster rule. So now what we have is a situation where Democrats are in control of the Senate. We have a Democratic president with an agenda, a big agenda. And the question is now the time that Democrats will invoke the nuclear option to get rid of the filibuster for legislation. Historically, there have been Democrats who have supported keeping the filibuster. And primarily in the Senate, it was because of a kind of a nostalgia about the Senate itself as a place for greater deliberation, as opposed to the hasty and hot-headed House. Clearly, there are Republicans who believe that who share that vision, and certainly for more libertarian or conservative senators, the whole idea of obstruction may be a value in itself. Now, countering that, which is, I think, where a lot of the Democrats in the Senate are now, and if you look at polls on the filibuster, it's kind of one of those things that makes Americans scratch their heads and say, why do they do that this way? So, number one, the American public wants to get rid of it. Number two, there's major agenda items that cannot get through. Some of the current effort to deal with the pandemic and the economic disarray that we're in because of the pandemic can be dealt with without requiring a 60-vote majority. But much of it can't be. If it comes a time when there is legislation that's neither budgetary and thus exempt from the filibuster rules, nor so far to the left, these senators would never support it. But it's actually kind of bread and butter issues that might gain the favor of the more conservative Democrats, and it's being held up through a filibuster. Will they agree to change the filibuster at that point? Stay tuned. The Senate, the nuclear option, it's always there. It's always available. It can be used at any time.